as well, which were asked, as well as there was Atul to answer that. Uh, Plus, what we did was we had a brief understanding, as well as we started off by understanding what websites are and how websites are built, right? So this is what we just did in the previous class, and I gave a brief intro about HTML. So I want to quickly understand, because I remember the count was around 31, 32, I think 33 in the previous class. So just want to know that who are those two, three students who are totally new to today's first class. Give me a quick Y inside the chat box, please. All you need to type is the letter Y inside the chat box. If this is your first class, um, just want to understand. I think one of them is Kriti. Anyone else? Okay, Mehul, two students. Gulshan. Okay, so there are three students who are new to today's class. Okay, there is one more, Sushmita. All right. So all those students who are new, just know that we haven't done much in the previous class, as well as I'll give you a brief intro of how things are working, right? So firstly, I'll start off by my introduction. My name is Ankit. I have around 1.5 years of teaching experience in full stack web development. Specifically speaking about your course right now, we'll be starting with front-end web development. So the full stack can be divided into two parts. One is front-end, the other one is back-end. So you can just know that in front-end, you have all the basic pieces which make your website, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So these are the three, let's say, technologies that you're going to learn about. And we'll be starting off with HTML, right? Of course, you'll have to, in order to have an in-depth understanding about what else did we speak and how did we understand the examples of website, you'll have to ask the previous recording from your batch managers, or you can also get in touch on Slack right after the class. But speaking about today's class, what we'll be doing is we'll be continuing with that, right? But we will be having our HTML first class today. So just know that whatever will be starting in HTML will be from ground zero, right? But I would really recommend and push all of you that do watch the previous class recording as well, because that would be applicable for all those students who are absolute beginners, right? Who don't even know let's say the W of website, right? They don't know how websites, what websites are, how website work and so on. So just a brief level of understanding was given in the previous class, and in today's class we are getting into the concepts. So that was about the previous class, right? Just in order to add things to this as well, in today's class, as well as in all the successive class, what we'll be doing is the first 5-10 minutes are usually for the revision. That is, whatever is done in the previous class is revised, and this will be done from the students itself, right? So today there will be some bunch of folks who would be volunteering for the same, as well as once they are going to do that, possibly that also will help you to understand what was done, right? So just allow me some time. I'll be sharing my screen. I want any one of you to quickly confirm once you're able to see my screen, and once that is the case, we can get started. Just give me 1 minute. All right, is my screen visible, folks?
Yes, sir.
All right. As well as all those students who are new to the class, all you can do is for the remote classes, what do we follow is we follow a Y or L mechanism, right? So all you have to do is, usually in the classes there are two sides that you basically have to choose. Either you agree with what I'm saying or you disagree, right? So all you have to do is you have to answer in yes or no, where yes, Y stands for yes, and N stands for no, right? So all you have to do is, don't waste much time. All you have to do is just type in these letters inside the chat box. Once you do, it will give me a better understanding whether we are going in the right direction or not. All right. So speaking about what we did in the previous classes, the website looks something like this, right? We haven't made anything much, and we will be discussing these things as well, just for those students who are totally new to today's class. Okay. So this is the piece of code that we had written, as well as we spoke about some intro about what websites are, why are websites used, as well as how websites are built, and I related it with the human body, right? So these are also a couple of things that we'll be discussing in today's class. Okay, so quickly want to understand any student from the class who would like to go ahead and take initiative for the revision. What you can do is just type in a Y inside the chat box. Or you could possibly raise your hands as well. You have the raise your hand functionality. Yeah, do one thing, raise your hands please. All those students who are willing to take initiative, please raise your hands. Okay, we have one student, two, three, good, four, five, amazing. That's good for the very first class. To be very honest, I didn't expect that number, but I'm really happy that there are so many students who are willing for the same. That's good. That's good. All right then. We have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight students who have raised their hands. That's nice. Let's uh, go with Himanshu for today. Yes, Himanshu. What do you
Uh,
remember from the previous class? Go ahead.
yeah. Hi everybody. Good evening. So,
Okay.
सर आपने लास्ट क्लास में सबसे पहले तो हमें ये सिखाया था कि हम किसी भी वेबसाइट को कैसे इंस्पेक्ट कर सकते हैं.
Hmm.
तो वो आपने एक चीज बताई थी. उसके बाद फिर हमें बेसिक जो टैग्स की नॉलेज थी कि
Hmm.
सबसे पहले हेड टैग, फिर
Right.
उसके बाद जी हेड टैग, फिर उसके बाद बॉडी टैग एंड ये मतलब टाइटल टैग, फिर बॉडी टैग, इसका आपने बताया था.
Okay.
और लास्टली फिर
Just
उसके
good,
जी
good, Himanshu. So sorry to interrupt you. Good. So two things that Himanshu is speaking about over here. Number one, that I showed students how you can inspect any website, right? So this will
जी
give you a very beginner level interest in any type of website on the web page, on the internet today, right? So let's say I want to go ahead and discover about Facebook, right? So all I write over here is Facebook, right? So there you go. I have the Facebook login link over here. I just click on that, right? And this is how the Facebook login link looks like. Now, of course, any website on the internet today is built using HTML. You cannot have any web page, uh, or let's say any website today in the market which will tell that, hey, I don't use HTML. That is not possible, right? HTML is present in each and every website. So like Himanshu told, if you want to go ahead and see the source code, please remember the keywords that I'm telling in the class. The reason I'm telling these keywords and stressing, whenever I stress on any keyword, I want all of you to please note it down as well somewhere. Because when you note it down, let's say whenever you have your interviews and you use these keywords, that gives you an upper hand among the other aspirants, right? So ensure that whenever I told this in the previous class as well, that I might give some verbal notes, I might give some written notes as well in the class in the form of comments. So whatever the case it is, always try to note it down. That's not a mandate, but if you note it down, it will help you whenever you revise these things, right? So now getting back to our Facebook page, how do I inspect? All I have to do is right click on the page anywhere and click on this inspect thing, right? As soon as I do this, what you will see is that a bunch of things open up, but what you can eventually see is the HTML code, right? All those students who have their first class today, don't worry how this HTML code is. We are going to learn it from ground zero again in today's class, but at least you can see something known as HTML over here, right? And if I close uh, this, this, you can say arrow over here, then you will see that HTML, head, body, something like this is written. These keywords are something that we will also later on see in our HTML boilerplate code, right? There are certain students who will be revising this stuff as well. So we will be relating this and this. For all those students who can't see this, let me just enlarge it a bit. So now I think it is visible for all of you that any code in the market today or any code on the internet, any web page on the internet eventually is built using HTML, and you will find the same boilerplate code that we are learning in today's class or your very first class, right? So that is your very first step towards building building any web page, right? The second thing that Himanshu told was regarding the basic tags. So this is how a simple HTML page would look like. We went ahead, we copied this entire code and we pasted it where? we pasted it inside a HTML file, right? Later on, what we did was we clicked on this HTML file, and that launched this page for us, right? This is what the web page looks like for this code. This is what we learned in the previous class. So these were the two things that we learned. Thank you so much, Himanshu, for that. Let's go with the next
Yes.
student who would continue from here. So let's go with Arpita.
Hello, sir.
As in, hey, Arpita. So, just a minute. All those who have answered the question, you can just drop your hand as well once doing that. Yes, Arpita. Continue. What else do you remember apart from that?
Sir, we started with talking about websites, what are websites according to everyone. Then we moved ahead to HTML.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about code editors, boilerplate codes, and then
Okay.
tags. So
Okay.
websites
So we
was
spoke
collection of web.
Okay, we spoke about editor. So thank you so much for highlighting that. Over here, the editor that we are using is VS Code, right? So all those whoever is new to today's class, uh, all those three students, I missed your name, but do you have an editor installed in your local machine? Give me a quick why you're in, expecting the answer from those four students who who have their first class today. If yes, type in a Y. If no, then please type in a N quickly. Do you have editors installed? Do you know what editors are? Editors are nothing but an application where you write the code, right? You cannot write it in a simple notepad or Word document. So you will have to have a specific type of software or specific type of application, and we call such applications as editors. So one of the widely used editors that we are also going to use in our course is VS Code over here, as you can see, right? And this VS Code, if you don't have the link, you can go ahead and download it from here. VS Code. There you go. I'm just sharing the link inside the chat box. As per your device configuration, please go ahead and download from here. Yes. So sorry, Arpita. Continue. What else?
Uh, yes, sir. We talked about websites, and we came to a conclusion that websites are collection of web pages. They can be either
Okay.
static or dynamic. Then we move to know that front end is basically a part of a mixture of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Okay. Okay.
HTML is the basic structure. CSS
Mhm.
is used to beautify. JS is the logical reasoning or responsiveness of the
Amazing.
website.
Amazing.
Then we
Okay.
moved.
Good, Arpita. All right. So 3 points highlighted by Arpita, and we discussed this in the previous class that any website today in the market are built using three main technologies, that is HTML, then CSS, and JavaScript, right? So I took an example of a human being and related it with a web page. So let's say whenever you have to build the main form of the structure of a human being, what do you want? You want the skeleton and the bones, right? So you can compare the skeleton and the bones which form the skeleton to your HTML, right? So over here, bones would be nothing but the small HTML tags, because eventually what you're going to do is using this HTML, you're going to form the structure of any web page, right? So you can relate the skeleton of a human being to the HTML of web page. Now, speaking about CSS, what is CSS? CSS is used to beautify. So you can refer it as any muscles or internal organs that you will now put in inside that human being, right? So that can be referred to as a CSS as well as beautification. Let's say if you want to beautify the human being, right? Now speaking about, you have the human being ready or you have the web page ready, but now you want that to interact. Now what is interact? Like right now Arpita told, right? If you want to make it dynamic, what do we say? Website or web pages are dynamic. Web pages are dynamic if those interact with us. Interact means, let's say if I click on login, you can see that something is happening, right? Something happened, I don't know what happened. It was basically validating whether my details are correct or not, but some type of action happened. That means you are able to use that web page. If you're not able to use that web page, just read content, we call such web pages as static web page. But if you are able to click on something and basically interact with the web page, we call such as dynamic. So if you want it to, process those logical things and interact with you or interact with the user who is using it, so how can you do that? You can do it using JavaScript, right? Which is the last thing that you'll be learning in this front end development journey, right? So JavaScript can be compared to the brain, or let's say the entire emotions and the rest of the things you feed into the human being, right? So these were the three comparisons that we did, and that Arpita highlighted right now. Good. Let's just go with the last student for today. But I highly appreciate the number of students who have taken initiative for the day. There is one more last student. Let's go with them. So let's go with Ashutosh. What else do you remember apart from these?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So apart from this, I know that boilerplate, which we have
Okay.
to, and we have to put
Mm.
title in between our head, and
Okay.
if we want to write some content, so we should go within the body. That.
Okay. Okay. Very nicely explained. Okay. So,
Thank you, sir.
uh, nicely explained the three main parts. That this is how the boilerplate code looks like. All right. All the students who are new to today's class, I have written the comments down below. Right. How do we write comments also is something that I'm going to speak about. Don't worry about that. Just see the notes. Just consider these things as the notes that we are going to refer to. So what I told over here is this is how an HTML boilerplate code looks like. What is boilerplate code? That means anything that any web page that you open today in the internet is definitely going to have a code which looks similar like this, right? So just now I took the example of Facebook. Right click, inspect, and what do you see? That it also has something known as HTML tag, head tag, body tag, and then again closing HTML tag. HTML tag, head, body, and closing HTML tag. And just like how right now the student told that if you want to write the title of the page, what comes inside the head, always remember anything that applies to the entire page, right? So something known as title. So over here we have a title tag using which you can set the title of the page. So a lot of you would be wondering where this title can be seen. This title can be seen on the top. So I've opened the web page over here. Can you see my first web page? This is the title that is showing up. So this title is showing up. Why? Because we have written it inside the title tag. Now let's say if I go ahead and change my, let's say my last website. No, that sounds very negative. My second website, let's say. Okay. And now I save it and go back. And of course, refresh. You will see that the title has changed to my second website, right? And so on. How that is how the title is set for any website. Speaking about inside the body, what is shown? So inside the body, whatever you write is nothing but the content of the entire web page. So if I go ahead and write, this is first class of HTML. This is what I have written. I go back, I refresh, and you see that a text is being written over here. And the amazing thing is, if I go ahead and right click and inspect on the web page that we have only created, you will see that it will have the same source code that we actually see over here. Can you see that, guys? It is having the same source code. Head, body, HTML, whatever you have written inside this editor is what is showing up inside this inspect. Yes, clear till here, everyone? Give me a quick why if everyone is on the same page. This was all with the revision of today's class. I know it went a bit longer, but with each and every class, we can do it a bit faster, right? I hope all of you got adjusted that how we'll be going around from one to another, right? Really appreciate the students who have raised your hand. Right now, you can drop off your hands as well and see, willing to see, hoping to see the same type of participation in the upcoming classes also. Okay, cool. So that was it. Just want to quickly understand from the students who are totally new to today's class. So do you have a good understanding till the boilerplate of the code, a boilerplate, HTML boilerplate, or do you want me to re-highlight that? If it is clear, give me a quick Y. If you want me to re-highlight that, give me a quick N. Y or N inside the chat box, specifically applicable to the four new students who are new to today's class. Sorry. Sounds good. Are we good to continue? Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Speaking about the boilerplate again, right? So this is how the boilerplate looks like. You have the HTML code. Let me write the boilerplate again once for all the students, right? So that you get accustomed to it. Once after today's class, I'm never going to write the boilerplate again. I'm going to show you a short form, how to do it. But I will use that in the class. I would always urge all of you to use that shortcut only after you have got accustomed to this, right? So I want all of you to open your editors now. Do it parallelly with me. I know it might sound little weird that how will you do it parallelly with me, but in today's class is the first attempt, and slowly and steady you will understand that whenever I take a pause, that's when you actually relate, right? I'll try to keep my screen always shared. We might also possibly move to a new platform if that is possible. I'll have a talk with Atul, right? Where the screen is always shared and we can possibly chat boxes. So if such things are possible, we'll definitely head on to that. But at least for the initial class, I'll ensure that the maximum time I am on the editor so that you get enough time to note it down, right? So all those who are ready to on your editors and ready to code along with me, please type in a Y quickly inside the chat box. All those who want 1-2 minutes, please type in an N. I'll wait accordingly. All right, I see almost 100% Y. Any student who wants me to wait? Good to continue. All right. And don't feel left out. If there is even a single student who has not understood, this is something I highlighted in the first class. After each and every subtopic, I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to ask whether you have understood or not. Don't hesitate to type in an N. Even if there is a single N, I'm happy to repeat. No worries. Okay, cool. So this is how an HTML boilerplate code looks like, and we are going to type it from the start, right? So if you're basically on your editors, and firstly, how do you save an HTML file? If you have to create a new file, click over here, write the name of the file, whatever it is. Let's say test, okay? But ensure that if you want it to be an HTML file, you have to end it by .html. Very much important. If you don't write .html file, it is not a HTML file. So as you can see that the name of our file is basics, but we have ended it with .html. VS Code also shows this icon on the left, signifying that, okay, it has understood that this is an HTML file. Then all you can do is, how do we create any tag? So whenever I tell HTML tag simply means that it is wrapped inside angle brackets. So lesser than angle bracket, greater than angle bracket, right? So this is one tag. This is one tag. Although both of these are HTML, so there are two types of tags. Some tags are known as singleton tags. That means they just have a single tag. We haven't seen any examples till now. Then there are some types of paired tags. So we can say that the main HTML tag inside which the entire web page is written, any web page today in the market, that is what we saw till now, right? Even the main Facebook page is written inside the main HTML, as you can see, starting with HTML, closing with HTML, right? So the main HTML tag is also a type of paired tag. Why? Because it has an opening tag and closing tag. From today on, whenever I say opening, just know that opening angle bracket and closing angle bracket, and closing, whenever I say closing, it is always less than, then you have a forward slash, and then basically you close it, right? So the only difference between the opening and closing tags are that you have a forward slash leading in the closing part. Okay. Now, after head, what do you have in HTML? Just related with the human body. The two things that you will have is head and body. There is no neck, right? There are a lot of students who used to ask me, sir, is there a neck? So no, you don't have a neck. You just have the head and the body, right? So we already discussed a few minutes back. Inside head, what you write? Inside head, you write basically anything that applies to the main page. So right now, don't bang your heads. All you need to remember is what you can write inside this is the title tag, and as soon as you complete the tag, you will be able to see that the VS Code completes the rest of the tag if it detects it's an HTML page. So that is a good thing that a lot of editors do today, right? So inside the title, you can write anything. It can be anything. Write something that signifies your web page. So let's say I want all of you to write your introduction. Okay, so you can write my introduction. I think that will be better, and we can sort of create a page based on all of your introduction. Okay, and now finally coming to body. Till now, just assume that you don't know what tags are, any type of tags. So what we'll do is we will just write a text that my name is Ankit Kumar Mishra, and I want all of you to write, of course, your names. So this is how we have again created the boilerplate code. All those students who are completed till here, please type in a Y. All those who are still typing, I'll understand that. Once completed till here, just keep the Y's coming. I'll keep my screen shared for the ones who are still referring that and doing it. Okay, let's see how does this page look like. So all those students who know how to open a page, that's good. All those who don't know, let me quickly show you. So wherever your file management manager is, just go over there, right? So the folder name, as you can see, I've kept the folder name as class 2. So I'm going to head on to class 2, and then there is this HTML file. If you double click on that, whatever your browser is, it is going to go ahead and launch the web page over there, right? So as you can see, it has done over here. I already have this open in my second web page over here. So I'll open it. No, I'm sorry, over here. So I'm going to open it over here itself. I'm going to refresh. So you will see that my introduction, my name is Ankit Kumar Mishra. All right. This is how things should look like. All those who have completed till here, all those who have already typed in a Y code, all those who are not, I'm waiting for you. This is just the absolute beginning, so we are going very slow, but just know that the speed might increase after the next 15 to 20 minutes, right? So just be ready regarding that. That is why I'm giving you enough time in order to get adjusted to this. I want all of you to open this link as well, parallelly on another tab, because this should be your Bible. If you remember, I have told you that W3 schools, and what is the other website that I told you about? How many of you remember that? MDN web docs, but this will apply after a certain days because this
सर
has couple. Yeah,
सर एक बार टाइटल एंड बॉडी टैग के बीच में डिफरेंस बता दीजिए.
sure, I'll do that, Archit. This is MDN web docs. You can just open this also in one of the sites, right? Good, Kavita Chandan. So this is the other website that I told you. This should be the second go-to place. Let's say if you want to know more about that topic, okay? But for now, I'll just keep this W3 schools open. Archit, for you, all right, over here, how do you write the title? So this is how a boilerplate looks like, boilerplate code of HTML. You start with HTML, close HTML, then your head starts, your head closes. Only after that, your body starts and body closes. The title, how do you write the title inside the head? You again create a title tag, right? So this is how it is. Doesn't mean that whatever is the significance, you have a title for, you have a tag for that. For title, you have a tag which is with the name title itself. So that is a good thing. And then whatever you write between that, that will be considered as the title. So over here, I wrote my introduction. That is why on the top, the tab name, you can see my introduction. If I write something else, let me write your introduction, for example, right? What do you see? Your introduction over here. You'll have to refresh, of course, after saving. Ensure that all of you save it first over here and then go back to your web page and refresh it. That is when you will see that the change has been applied, else you'll not be able to see it. Okay, so this is how the title is set. And now speaking about anything that you write between the body tags, right now I've just written a small like statement itself, right, in English. That is what I've written over here. So you can see that the same thing is applied over here. I've not used any tag inside the body yet. I've just written a normal statement, and that is something which is visible on my web page. Clear, Archit?
यस सर.
Okay. Please keep the doubts coming, guys, inside the chat box. That gives me a good understanding, as well as that keeps the records. When we need the, yeah, doc type HTML, good question. This is something I had highlighted in the previous class as well. You didn't require the doc type HTML. Whenever you open any web page today, you will see this, as well as on W3 schools also, you will see this is written, right? I'll give you the significance of what doc type HTML tells. It just tells the web page or the editor that, hey, whatever comes after this is an HTML content. But editors are very smart these days. Even if you just write .html, it will understand it is definitely an HTML page, right? It doesn't require this specific tag for that purpose. That is why writing doc type HTML in the starting is not required. That's an optional tag. Clear to everyone? That is absolutely optional, not at all required. Even if you don't write it or write it, it will have zero influence on the web page difference. Sounds good? Biswo, Himanshu, Chandan. Cool. All right, sounds good. Now, heading forward, let's quickly discuss about the other types of tags that we have. Meanwhile, I do have a good set of notes as well already for all of you, right? So I'm already starting with a couple of tags, but I want all of you to start writing it over here as well, right? So inside the paid tags, there are a couple of paid tags which we have already seen. What are the tags that we have seen? HTML, head, body, right? These are some of the main boilerplate code tags, as well as title, right? Head, title, body. So these are a couple of things that we have already seen. Now we are going to see the heading tags, right? So we have 6 type of heading tags, that is H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. So whenever I tell H1, H2, just know that the larger the number, right, the lesser the size. Okay, that means 1 is the smallest number, it will have the highest size. 6 is the largest number, it will have the smallest size. All right, so that is verbally something that I've told you. But now let's apply this thing to each one of our statement, right? So the name that you have written, let's go ahead and for the same name, let's write it inside each and every heading, right? So all I want all of you to do is just remove this or you can just copy it as well. Copy the statement. Okay, select this, copy, and then what you're going to do is we are going to create a heading tag. How do we create? The same format. Whenever I tell here after that we are going to create a tag, you're going to use angle brackets. H1 means don't go ahead and directly write H1. This is not how you create a tag, right? You'll have to go ahead and create a tag this way, which starts with H1 and ends with H1 because it is a paid tag, of course. Okay. And inside this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste my statement. Similarly, I'm going to copy this entire line in the next. I'm going to paste it in the next line, and I'm going to change H1 to H2. Okay. Similarly, I'm going to paste this statement 6 more times, and I'm going to try out each and every heading tag so that that gives me a good understanding. So H1 done, H2 done, H3 done, H4 done, H5, H5, H6, and H6. I'll save it. Guys, don't type parallelly right now. Just take a moment of pause. Back to the class, please. I'll give you 1 minute right after this in order to note it down. Don't worry. Okay, so what we are going to do over here is we have this piece of code as well as I'll paste and I'll put it because I haven't written anything different. Just rename, just change your name accordingly. Okay, so what is this? What is there over here? H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. I've just used these heading tags that we have in HTML. Okay, and I'm going to see that how it is going to look, right? So I'm going to slide to my web page. I'm going to refresh. And what is the difference that you see, guys? That the heading that we have written with H1 tag is the largest heading. Agree? Then we wrote the heading with H2 tag. This is the second largest. Similarly, third largest, fourth largest, fifth largest, and sixth largest. So I know what is the question in your mind. Do we have H7, H8? No, we don't have. We don't have, right? You just have 6 type of heading in HTML. And what are the 6 types of heading tags that you have? H1, 6 types. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. Clear to everyone? Give me a quick Y or N, please. I'll come to your question, Shitanshu. Meanwhile, quickly about this question, is it clear to everyone? And guys, there are 31 students in the class. So I want to see responses coming from as many students as possible. That will give me a better understanding whether you are following up or not, right? I would like to connect with each and every student, and let me tell you, I'm happy that the number of students are very much less. I've taught students of classes greater than 100 as well, right? So over there as well, I was able to connect to almost 75 to 80 students. So the more you interact, the more I get to know you, and the more you also understand the class better, right? So ensure that you're basically participating in the class. All right then. So this is how the different types of heading tags looks like. So meanwhile, please note it down. I'll keep my editor shared. As I told you, I'll give you some time to note it down. Be quick. Once done, just type in a D inside the chat box. Okay, so that I know. Meanwhile, answering Shitanshu's question, that sir, what is the difference between HTML and HTML5? Very simple. Don't bang your heads much on this. It simply depends upon that, just like how a lot of things change, right? Giving your main social science, Hindi, English, and mathematics that you had for your matriculation exam would be a wrong example. But let me take applications. All of you use applications, right? So I can very well guess that each one of you might have a WhatsApp application downloaded in your phones or your parents' phone or whatever, right? In any of the phones that you hold. So from time to time, you also have to update the application. Agree? So what happens is the previous version, right? The keyword that I'm using over here is version. So version basically gets outdated and you have to always update it to the new version. So the same thing applies to the technologies. Yes, you're hearing that correct. The same thing applies to the technologies. That is, in technology as well, with the time, developers need more. So developers like me, like all of you, you all are budding developers, right? Today you're budding developers. At a time you will become developers, right? That is what all of you are working hard for today. So developers also asked for more. They were like, hey, just ease out the development process for us, right? So HTML came with advances. There was HTML1, HTML2, HTML3, and so on. The current one, which is going, or the most popular one today, is HTML5, right? So speaking about the difference, you won't find much differences. There are new tags which were introduced in HTML5. I don't think we will be discussing much on that difference, but just know for a fact that it's a new version. So if you are interested in knowing what are the new tags that got introduced, go ahead and explore more about that, right? But it's not a rocket science, not a totally different technology altogether. It is HTML only, but with a newer version. Answers your question, as well as gives an understanding to everyone, right? Similarly, you must have heard about CSS3. Sometimes you might have heard that what will happen if we write H7. Try that, Yashwant. And this is a very good thing. Questions like what Yashwant is asking, this is what a lot of you will also think about. Don't ask me, don't wait for me to actually do it on the web page and try out. I want all of you to try out. So what you will see is that it printed something. So but a lot of you might think, hey, this is an H7, right? Because all of you are new right now. But let me do one thing. Let me just paste the normal text. Do you remember in the starting I pasted this text normal, just the way it is? I had pasted it this way. I'll paste it that way and go back and refresh. You will see that of course, it didn't come. I'm going to use a tag right now. Just ignore that tag. I'm coming to that tag in some time. But what is the difference that I wanted to highlight in? When I write, even if I write it in a normal layout right now, can you see it just looks similar to what I had written in H7? That means it didn't recognize H7. So it didn't recognize H7. So it is not going to give you an error. Okay. HTML is very forgiving. Let me tell you one thing. HTML is very forgiving. So as correct, Ankit. So as Ankit also mentioned over here, browser while reading this HTML code will simply agree, whatever, simply ignore whatever it will not understand is something it is going to ignore and it is going to forgive you. As simple as that. So it didn't understand H7, so it will start reading from the next line. Okay, this is a normal statement. I'll print it like a normal statement. As simple as that. Clears the question? Clears the doubt? Which question was that, Yashwan? Cool. And similarly, just FYI, for your upcoming time, JavaScript. So JavaScript doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, but it has a versioning system like ES. Okay, that is a very advanced topic. We'll again discuss it during JavaScript for sure, because we have a separate topic for that. So in JavaScript also you have a versioning system like ES1, ES2, ES3. Okay, so the one which came with majority of changes is ES6. So that is one of the topics that you have. So again, an advanced topic. So I don't want all of you to bang your heads at the moment. Okay. And that was all about heading tags. Let's quickly move on to the next tag, guys, because with 1, 2 tags, I want all of you to pick up speed now. Okay. Let's move on to the next tag. So the next tag that we are going to discuss about is, okay, and I want all of you to quickly have this tab open as well. So let's say if you don't have access to my code, you can quickly have a look onto this code. The next one that we are going to discuss about is paragraph, as listed over here. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a paragraph about your introduction. But of course, tell me one thing, you're having so many heading tags. Is it looking good? No, right? You should always have one heading tag and that should be your name, right? It should be your name, and you didn't even write my name is. Okay, all you need to write is whatever your name is, something like this, and the rest of them shouldn't be there. Whatever your name is, let's say right now, any other student from class, for example, Archit. Okay, so Archit writes his name over here, Archit Gupta, and the rest of the things are redundant right now. He doesn't want it. So one of the way is to just, make a lot of work of your backspace key, and you just go ahead and remove it, or of course select and remove it. But with the time you might think that, hey, I don't want it now, but I would want it after some time, right? So you don't want to totally remove it, but you want a way in which the code remains inside your HTML file, but it doesn't show up on the web page. How many of you understood the problem statement? What am I trying to say? Give me a quick why. How many of you have understood the problem statement? That sometimes I want the code to be there on my editor, but the same shouldn't show on my web page. That is my requirement. I want it sometimes that way. Got it? So what do I want is, I want that there should be a way in which I should be able to do that. So how can we do that? You can do that by using comments. So I've already used a comment inside your same editor, as you can see, right? So whatever notes I'm giving to all of you from that time over here, and you might be noting it down the same format or the other format. This is a form of comment. So how does your HTML understand that you have started a comment and ended a comment? So you can write the comment anywhere on the HTML page. Let's say I want to write it after this h1 tag, and let's see whether that shows up or not. So right now I will write XYZ. I just wrote XYZ over here. I come over here and I refresh, and you will see that XYZ is showing up over here, right? This XYZ is showing up over here because it is there in my code. So it is showing up as a normal statement. But if I want to put it inside a comment, all I have to do is use angle bracket, just like how tags are used, right? So angle bracket and close angle bracket, but the editor does this job for you, which is frustrating actually. Okay, so, or let me directly put it. No? How do you write comments in HTML is, whatever code you want to comment, just use the angle bracket, exclamatory sign, double hyphen, right? And to close with, double hyphen again, and your angle bracket again, right? Closing angle bracket. So let me repeat again. How do we write it? Starting, or let's say opening angle bracket, exclamatory sign, double hyphen, XYZ, double hyphen again, and closing. You don't have an exclamatory sign again over here. Just note this, a lot of students forget it, right? You have an exclamatory sign only in the starting. Got it? So you save it. Now I go back, I refresh on my web page, boom, it doesn't show up. This is there in my code, but it is not showing up on the web page. Got it? How do we write comments over here, guys? Yes or no? How do we write comments in HTML? How many of you have understood this? Give me a quick Y or N, please. How do we write comments? You can just write over here as another point. So what are we discussing about? We are discussing about comments. So single line comment or multiple line comment, how can you basically write it? It has to start with this way and then end with this way. As simple as that. It detected it as a tag. That is why it is showing it this way. Okay. I cannot put the tag over there, but just know that this is how we write the comments, right? This is the format of writing comments. So wrap it around. I'll just put a space so that it doesn't detect. But just note that this space is not there. You'll just have to wrap the code around this so that it becomes a comment, as simple as that. So this is how we write a comment. But of course, it is little tiresome. Right now, I want to comment down this entire thing. So how can I comment down this entire thing? Just before H2, I'm going to write this angle bracket, exclamatory dash dash, okay, or hyphen hyphen. And then where I want to close it, I want to close it after H6. So hyphen hyphen, closing angle bracket. That is it. I go back to my web page, refresh, and just I have the code that I want, and the rest of the code is there on my web page but doesn't show up. Interesting? Interesting, everyone? Yes or no? Give me a quick Y or N, please. Okay. But should I show you a quick way of doing this? Quick way? Of course, you cannot just be, always writing it that way, right? So quick way of doing this is, Just select this entire code, everyone. Just select this entire code. And then what you're going to use is command key, shift key, and question mark. Sorry, command, shift, and slash. Uh, uh, One second. My bad, not shift. Shift is not required. Command and slash. My bad. Command and slash. All those who don't have the command key, use the control key. Yes. For Windows, use the control key. For Mac or Linux, use the command key. So control and slash or command and slash. First, select the entire bit of code and then use it. If you were able to do it, give me a quick D inside the chat box, please. Type in a done. Okay. And with each and every class, I'll be showing you the shortcuts. Please use that shortcuts. That shortcuts will help you code faster. Okay. So with each and every class, you yourself should be feeling that, hey, for developing a web page on the day one, I took, let's say, 1 complete hour. Okay. But in today's class, just in order to create the basic things, I'm just taking 10 minutes. That should be the progress. Okay. All of you should be aiming for. Okay, so this is how your entire HTML tag looks like. This is how you can comment it down. I don't want to, make this entire piece dirty. So I'm going to basically cut this entire piece of code and just put it somewhere down so that all of you can refer, but it is not in between our main code. Okay, just in order to keep this entire code clean. That is the major reason I'm doing this. Okay. Fair enough. So this is how we have written heading. Now going quickly to our next type of tag, which is paragraph tag. So guys, we are going to quickly gear up now for each and every tag. For paragraph tag, all you have to write is P. Okay. So P stands for paragraph. Quickly write it over here. The next tag that you're going to learn about is paragraph tags. Okay. Paragraph tag, which is nothing but P. So whatever you write inside the paragraph tag, what is the benefit of that? I'll tell you. So I'm just going to quickly copy some piece of code. Okay, you can write your small introduction. My name is Ankit. I love coding, uh, uh, and coding and teaching. Okay, here are my students, something like that. Okay, so this is how I've written my introduction. I come over here, refresh. So you will see this just looks like a normal statement itself, but I'll tell you what is the difference. You will understand it within the next couple of seconds, right? So firstly, this is how a paragraph looks like. So your heading, paragraph, this entire format has been picked up from how you actually write essays, right? So in essays, you always have a heading, you have multiple paragraphs. Let me try to add one more paragraph. Okay, this was the first paragraph, and just in order to make it look big, actually like a paragraph, I'm going to paste the statement again. Okay, so this is how a paragraph looks like. I come over here, refresh. So can you see this now definitely looks like a paragraph. So now let's say if I want to create another paragraph, okay, and inside this paragraph, if I want to write again some piece of code, for now let me just copy this entire code itself and let me paste it over here. Okay, so this is how I have quickly created another paragraph and I have put my code. So if I come over here and refresh, you will see that now I have two paragraphs. Looks like a paragraph. Everyone, anyone having any doubts? It's very straightforward. Headings for headings. You can use any type of heading from H1 to H6. P tag for paragraph. Nothing new. I don't know what else to stress upon. That is all you have in paragraph. Just like how paragraphs look. Clear till here, guys? All those who have completed plus understood till here, give me a quick Y. Anyone having any doubts? Please type in N followed by your doubts, please, inside the chat box. Okay. Two more tags and then I'm going to take a pause and ask all of you that how things are going. Okay. Now is the time. Okay, yeah, we can directly head on. 1 second, paragraph. Okay, let's speak about some formatting tags as well, right? And then we can get back. Okay, so let's say somewhere in between you wanted to make something bold. Okay, so usually in Word, just relate it to Word. So whatever you can do in Microsoft Word is something that we want to do on our web page also. So how many of you know about bold, italics, underline? These are three things that you can do. If you have used Microsoft Word, you would be knowing about this. Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Bold, right? Anything which is written in bold. italics, anything which is written in italic font, a stylish type of font, right? And underline means simply underline text. So if you want to do that, the tags that you have for this is, so you can call that as formatting tags as well, formatting tags. So what do you have over here? You have uh, D, I, and U. As simple as that. So let me just pick up something. I love coding. I want to highlight that. So I'll wrap it inside a B tag. Okay. This is how I've wrapped it. This entire thing inside a B tag. I saved my code. I go back to my web page. I refresh, and you will see that my name is Ankit. I love coding and teaching is something which is highlighted in bold. Clear to everyone? Clear to everyone? This part is highlighted in bold. Okay. Now let's see italics as well. I'm going to rush in this because it's a very simple topic. I want to highlight, write this much part in italics. So I'm going to write the next I love coding and teaching again in italics. Let's go and see. So I come over here and refresh. Oh my God. Okay. It's over here. Can you see? I love coding and teaching. Can you see this entire line is in italics? Okay. So you can say that I have written this entire bit of line in italics. And now speaking about underline. So let me just, underline the last sentence or last sentence in this paragraph. So let's go and see. I come over and refresh. Here are my students is something which is underlined. Okay. So bold, italics, and underlined. Clear to everyone? The three formatting tags. And you can use it in any sort of form. Clear to everyone? So let's say whatever breaks. So I'll tell you that the format over here is a slightly different, right? You don't have classes on each and every day. There is a big gap, or you can say 2 to 3 classes of gap that we have between each and every class. So during that gap, what you have to do is you have to refer to this Bible, guys, right? Not everything will be done in the class, of course, right? The spoon feeding thing will not be done. The major things will be touched upon, right? Like the heading tags, paragraph tags, the main thing which you actually use day to day. But if you want to, learn about you have very less other tags, to be very honest. But if you want to learn about each and every topics one after another, you can actually go through each and every tab over here. Clear to everyone? Yes. Can you please show? Yes, absolutely. So whichever piece of code you have to wrap and make it bold, just wrap it this way. Start with B tag, end with B tag. Whatever you have to make italic, start with I tag, end with I tag. Whatever you have to make underline, start with U tag, end with U tag. Clear? Okay. So guys, now comes the question. Why are these heading and paragraph tags even required? Okay. So for now, just for the time being, let me do one thing. Let me just, sort of comment down this. Okay. And let me just try to write this entire thing one after another, and let's see what happens. Okay. So I write my name first. Okay. And then after that, this paragraph that I had written, right, inside a paragraph, let me not write it inside the paragraph. In the next line, I'm going to write it this way. Anyone having any doubts? What did I do? Without any of the tags, I wrote just the statement like this. And in the next line, I wrote this entire paragraph content right below. Okay. Let's see how does it look. So I come over and refresh. You will see that, hey, over here I have 2 lines. But what is this happening? Everything is just going in one line itself. Okay, let me try something else. So what do? Is I copy my name. I come to the next line, paste again, in the next lines. I'm trying to create as many lines as possible, right? I go back, I refresh, but what do I see? The recurrence of my name is coming one after another. It is not coming in the next line like I want. So what do we understand from this, guys? That whatever you write in your editor, if you use the next line, that is not detected by web page. Web page always looks for HTML tags for formatting. If you're going to use a next line, it is not going to get detected by your let's say browser. The HTML code won't be detected, and it will simply read it as that this Ankit Kumar Mishra is coming right after this without any space, right? It will simply go ahead and detect that, and that is why you're seeing that my name is getting printed one after another right after it. Is this thing clear to everyone? Give me a quick wire in, please. What is happening over here? The next line is not getting detected by the browser, and it is printing right one after another. Okay, so a lot of you will ask me that, sir, then how the same thing is happening? For now, let me now comment this part of code and uncomment this part of code. Okay, so you will see that if I come over here and refresh, how is this getting formatted very nicely? So your heading tag of course adds a heading type of look, plus also adds a next line. Can you see next line with little space to the next content? Okay, whatever the next content is. And that is why your heading tag looks different, because what it does is whenever you use heading tag, your browser understands that, okay, this is the heading, I need to bold it out a little, and I should also, possibly give some space between the next content. And whenever you have the paragraph content, that simply means that anything which is the next paragraph should have a space in between. That is why after one paragraph, can you see there is a good amount of space in the next paragraph? Clear to everyone? So your HTML, your heading tags and paragraph tags come with a, let's say, inbuilt separator, you can say, right? An inbuilt separator already exists. That is why the formatting looks too good. But now there might be a lot of students who would also ask that, sir, again, if I don't want, I'm let's say stubborn. I really want to know that if I don't want to use the heading tags and I still want, as I'm writing in next line, it should come in next line and not in same line. How can I do that? So you can do that using the very first singleton tag that you're going to learn, and that is nothing but the BR tag, or which is also known as line break tag, right? So if you want a line break after one statement, you can use the BR tag. But unlike your other tags, this is not a paid tag. It is a singleton tag. That means, can you see it is having a close? No, it is just a single tag. So what is the benefit of this single tag? Let's see. BR. Okay. I come over here, I refresh. You will see that whatever the content I wrote in next line is actually starting from the next line, right? Unlike getting, attached to the first line itself, it is actually starting in the next line. Let's say if I want to add a line break after each one of this, which is not getting added by default. So what I'll do is I'll just add a BR tag at the end of each of these lines, right? This is how I've added. Let's go and see. So I come over here, I refresh, you will see that all of these names are now showing up in the next line. Interesting? Okay, if we use BR after the content will not, yes. Wait, is that a question, Ankit? I didn't get it. If we use VR after the content will not. No, I didn't get that question. Can you repeat? Meanwhile, is this clear to everyone, guys? How did we use the line break? Yes or no? Give me a quick Y or an inside the chat box, please. Is the line break clear? Okay, okay, cool, cool. Cool. Amazing. So this is how the line break code is look. So wherever you want a line break, all you have to do is just use a BR tag. Okay, that is the first singleton tag that you have used. Cool. So this was just for your explanation purpose. I'm just going to wipe this off, not required, and we are going to come back to our main content. Okay, this was all the basic content that you have written right now. I have written some dummy content. I believe that all of you also might have written a dummy content, but from the very first web page itself, start making it a live content, right? You never know what type of opportunity might come. They might just say that, hey, we just want someone who is still learning HTML but has little knowledge of HTML, not at all totally new person. So if you at least have a web page where you can show that you have developed code using HTML, and when you learn CSS, you are beautifying it, you can later on go ahead and show the same web page. Okay. So please try to put real content. I am doing a copy paste job over here, but you try to put a real content over here. Clear to everyone? Yes or no? When we aren't using the paragraph tag for the fonts are in when we aren't using the paragraph tag, the fonts are in H6 size. I meant what the default. No, it's not in H6. H6 is for heading. Don't confuse X. I totally get it why you're asking that question, because H6 is very small in size, but H6 is again a heading. That cannot be compared to the normal text. The normal text size is something that, by pixel I cannot tell you, but whatever you saw right now, that is without any tag, if I go ahead and write this way, so whatever you see is, this is the default size of a normal text, how it would look like. Clear? Bispo? Cool. Where was I? Okay. So removing this, right? Now quickly coming, before I go to the next tags, these were the basic tags. Let me be very honest. This is the very first type of pause that I'm going to take, the first part that I'm going to take. Because if you have understood till here, you have taken the very first, you can say, step towards very first step towards HTML. This is the part one. If you know what boilerplate is, you know what heading is, you know what paragraph is, you know what BR tags is, just know that you know how you can create the very first look of the website. Till here, anyone having any doubts? If no doubts, I also want to ask one quick question. How are you feeling till now? How is it getting? Interesting, confusing, looking forward? How is it getting? Interesting, everyone? Confusing? How is it? Interesting? Okay. There's one question. You can see inspect on browser. Yes, you can see inspect on browser. Okay, you're saying that way, 32 pixels. All those students who already know things about that, do it. I right now don't want to, highlight on those things which a couple of students might not know, because that will break the flow. Usually I like to follow a flow in the class that is, sort of generic for all of them. And it shouldn't happen that a lot of content is coming all together. Okay, that should be a moment of pause. Uh, let's continue from here and let's pick up the other thing. Let me also tell you one more thing. Usually I give a sort of break in between classes, but I think it is just 2 hours. I used to take 3 hours for a couple of batches, right? Do you want a break right now? Do you want a break of 2 minutes, guys? Or is it good we continue? Good to continue. If continue, just type in a C. If you want a break, write a B, break. Okay. There are two students. I'll give you a 1 minute of break then. Quickly take a minute only. Actually, for 2 hours, even I'm bound with time. So sorry. I might not be giving you enough time for that. All those who went for a break, just type in a B once back. Meanwhile, the rest of you, I'll keep my editor shared. All those who were noting down the code, please do that. Okay. All right. Let's keep the break only for that much right now. Gulshan, your okay. So, speaking about the things that we have learned till now, H1P. Okay, now we are going to proceed with some more tags, right? So, let me ask the question with all of you right now. You have this type of web page right now. What are the things that you feel are missing right now? So, let's say this is a web page where you are actually going to write your introduction. Okay, you're going to create a web page where you're going to feed in your introduction. So what do you think? Very good. Okay, that's a good point, Sushmita. Links are missing. Might be you want to link it to your GitHub pages. You want to link it to some link or some other web page that you have. Images. Okay, that is also a good point, Arpita. Colors, but colors are more of a CSS aspect. I don't deny the fact that we can start it right now as well, but let's emphasize on that more of a more on a CSS front. UI is yes, okay, Himanshu, again the same thing. CSS is something that we can feed in. Input fields, that's good point, Ashutosh. And Sharan, div is missing. Okay, fair enough. But div is missing. That would, I'm not sure how significant that is. That's not more of a significant change, but I totally get it. That is another type of tag that we are sort of missing. Okay, so that is something which we will be speaking about again. But now coming to the points that couple of students told, that is images, right? So the next thing that we are going to discuss about is HTML images. So let's speak about how you create images. So this is a next singleton tag that you're going to discuss about. So as you can see in the singleton tags, img is what you're going to use for image. And let's see how do we use an image. So right after, let's just have one paragraph or okay, two paragraphs are fine. So after this, I'm going to write img src. Okay, how the image syntax basically looks like. So it's a singleton tag. That means it doesn't have a closing tag. And now how do you put a link? So basically, there are two types in which you can either put a local image or you can put a online image. So I'm going to show you both of these, right? So links can always be put inside the source attribute, right? So img tag, after that you have this source attribute, and inside the source attribute, the attribute name, or let's say acronym, is nothing but src. And inside the src, you're going to write equals to, and inside the double inverted commas is where you're going to put the image link. Let me repeat the syntax again. Img is a singleton tag, but if you want to basically connect any image of the web page or on the internet inside your web page, how can you do that? You have to put a space after your tag name, then write attribute. So attributes are nothing but this is the very first type of attribute that you're going to learn about. So you can write a type of heading as well, that what attributes are. Write it after tags only, that would be better. So what are attributes? Attributes. So attributes are nothing but uh, let's say it provides more info to your tags. Okay, to tags in short, or to HTML tags. So more info means the very first type of example that you're going to see for an attribute is nothing but the source attribute. Source in img tag. So what is source? Inside source, basically what you can do is you can go ahead and provide the link to whichever image that you want to show. So how can you do that? How are attribute? What is the syntax for attribute? Inside any tag, okay, but again it depends that which attribute you can use in which tag. So the very first attribute that you're going to see the example is source, which you can use in image tag. So how to use an attribute inside a tag? You have to use a space followed by the attribute name, and inside the attribute name you're going to uh, basically use a equals to sign, and then inside the double inverted comma you're going to put the value. So over here source nothing but signifies the link to whichever image that you want to apply. So over here what we are going to do is we are going to put the link of the image. So let's say right now I want to put an link of any developer, right? I would really encourage that if you have any image on the internet of yourself, you can use that as well. But right now, let's say I just want a developer image, for example. So I come over here, sort of, let me go with this guy itself. Okay. So I come over here, I do a right click, copy image address. So the thing that you should be looking forward is for this copy image address. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to get back to my editor, and inside this source, I'm going to paste that link and save. Let me go back to my web page and refresh, and boom, that is where you see the web image already on your web page. Interesting. How many of you understood this? How do we put image tags? Give me a quick why inside the chat box, all those who have understood. Easy. Image tags are easy. Let's try for another image tag then. Okay, let me now select some other image. For example, let me go with this image. Okay, I come over here, I do a right click, copy image address. Okay, over here I want another image tag, so I create img, use the source attribute. Inside the source attribute, I'm going to paste the new link, right, and close this image tag. I come back to my web page, I refresh. Okay, you will see that another image is there, which is like very big, okay, over here, which actually shows up below as well, right? So we are not going to discuss about multiple images. Let's just go with one image for now, and you will see that this is how it looks like. But it might be the case that sometimes the default image size is good for you. This is the default image size, but sometimes you want to make it big, sometimes you want to make it small, right? So how you can do that? You can do it with multiple other attributes that we have in image tag. So one you already saw, source. Then the other two that we are going to speak about is height and width. So let's go and see that. The next one that we are going to use is height. So you basically provide the height and width over here in pixels. So if I write height is equals to 500, what am I saying? That the height should be 500 pixels. Now pixel, what is pixel? All of you know what is centimeter. All of you know what is meter, kilometer, right? These are the units in measuring length in real life, right? Similarly, the unit of measuring any sort of dimensions on your web page is known as pixel. So pixel can be basically referred to as the most let's say confined unit in the entire web page, right? So 1 pixel, 2 pixel, and so on. So pixel is nothing but a reference unit. So you can say that this entire thing right now, since I've set the height is equals to 500, that means this has been set to 500 pixels. Okay, now let's say if I want to set the width also, I want to make it square. So what will I write? Width is equals to 500 again. Let's go and see how does it look. So I refresh. So now it has become a square image. Can you see? Width is also 500 and height also is 500. How many of you have understood how did we set this? Give me a quick Y or N, please. How many of you have understood the three attributes that we can set? So now let's say if in any interview, if you have asked that you have a HTML page, add an image to this, will you be able to add an online image? If you have the link to that, will you be able to add that? All right, good. So that is how you add a online image, right? But give me some moment. I'll give all of you to actually note it down. But sometimes it happens that you don't want to put an online image. You want to basically put a local image, right? So you have that image on your desktop and you want to basically upload that. So how do you do that? Over here, let's say this is the image that I'm speaking about, right? So firstly, let's go ahead and download it. So I'm going to right click and save image as. Okay, and let me okay, inside the class 2 folder, which is basically my same folder, as you can see. Okay, this is the same folder inside which my file is. Always try to put it in the same folder, whichever folder your file is, right? Your HTML file is. I'm going to put it over there only. I'm going to change the name of this. Let me write as developer. The name, you can write any name, but let me write the name as developer and click on save, right? So what it will do is, as you can see, it has saved that image inside my folder, and this is that image, right? So now let's say if I want to use that image inside my HTML file, how you can use it is inside the source folder itself, inside the source attribute itself, you're directly going to write the name of the image followed by the type of the image, right? So what is this? Developer.jpg, right? So that is what I have written over here. And let's go and see whether this works or not. So if I come away and refresh, now you see that this is your local image which is showing up on your web page. So I've showed you both the things. How do you basically use a local image as well as how you use an online image? How many of you have understood this? Give me a quick Y or N, please. How many of you have understood this? Okay, fair enough. Completed till here, everyone? Okay, noted it down as well, how to use a online image and how to use a local image. Clear? As well as, let me give a quick uh, also a note to all of you, that usually for my students I do something like this, that is I try to keep an assignment towards the end of the week, right? So over here all you have is around 2 to 3 classes itself in the entire week, right? So I'll try to keep it bi-weekly, that is in a 2 week system. And what we'll have is, we'll have a sort of small quizzes, okay, where you will have some time to answer that. So how many of you have already sort of played some quiz games like Kahoot? How many of you have heard about this? Kahoot. How many of you know about this? Basically, you have four options and you select the option which you feel is right. Okay. So, okay, a lot of you don't know about it. Don't worry, all those who don't know about it, it's nothing but a quiz platform itself, right? So, basically, it can be enjoyed or it can be used for learning um, in a larger class. And over here, we have around 30 to 35 students. Okay, so you will be given a question, you will be given certain answers, and with a limited time, and you need to select that what is the right answer. Okay, so sort of quiz, sort of class assessment type, where you will understand that how much you are understanding in the class. Okay, so this is not something in your syllabus, but I usually used to do this for my students in the past. So let me have a talk with Atul, and if we can figure that out, we'll try to include that in your class as well. So sounds interesting to everyone? We'll try to do this somewhere in between, so that all of you, we can assess that how many of you have understood how much. Got it? That is the main aim of this. Okay, fair enough. So this is how we do the image tag. Now let's quickly head on to the last one that we have. That is, how do you attach links? Now comes the question, why do you want a link? Okay, so it can be the case, how do I say? It can be
Sir,
the case that sometimes you have a certain web page, right? So let's say you have over here, quit. Okay, you have this.
sir,
Yes.
sir, what
Hold.
if the image is in another disk? So
Okay.
how will
Just keep one thing in mind. Please keep the questions coming in the chat box. Okay. Okay. If the image is in other file, then what you'll have to do is you will also need the path for that. So that is another thing to do. For example, let's say right now it is in developer.jpg. Okay, I'm going to copy this image and let me paste it over here. Okay. And then I go ahead and remove this from here. So there are two ways of doing this. Okay. One is you right click and you actually see the details of this image. Okay, so you can click on get info, and what it will do is it will tell you the entire path. So in your Windows devices, you can basically click on properties. You will see when you do a right click, you will see something known as properties, and over there what you will see is you will see more info. Okay, over here, with name and extensions, no, not over here, open preview, no, sharing and permissions. Okay, over here it is not provided. Okay, it is given over here, right? Where? So this is my entire path. User Mac documents class. This is how it is showing my entire path, right? Similarly, this would be the path shown to all of you as well. So in that case, what you'll have to do is you will have to provide the entire path. That is, you're going to copy this entire path. Uh, Whenever you click on properties as well, you will find the path. Then you will have to write a slash followed by the name of the image .jpg. But let's speak about something which is the reality. Whenever you have a local image which is there on any path of your desktop, it might not be the case that you're going to use that, right? Because eventually when you are creating a web page, you are going to host it somewhere. You cannot use your local images there. That means that has to go as a cluster, right? So those images should always be included where? It should always be included inside your web page itself. And that is why inside your web folder itself, right? You can say that is why the very first thing that I told all of you is, in order to make your things simpler, what you have to do is you have to always copy that image and ensure that you always paste it inside the same folder where your image is there, where your HTML file is there. So in this case, what will happen is you can directly go ahead and provide the name of the image followed by the type, and it is going to pick up from the same directory itself. We also say this, or we call this as the root directory. Does that answer your question, Arpit? Cool. Archit, sorry. Yeah. ठीक है. So now getting back to where I was, let's say if you want to provide the link to Kuwait, right? This is what you want to do. So I'm going to copy this link, and I want to provide a link inside my web page where I basically link it to that web page. Okay. So how can we do that? We can do that using anchor tag. So the next type of paid tag that you're going to learn about is anchor tag. Anchor tag. Okay. So how is anchor tag written? Using the A letter. And again, now this anchor tag has an attribute which is known as href, or hypertext reference. So what is the next example of attributes? So your anchor tag has one attribute, and that is known as href. Okay. So what am I going to write is href equals to, and inside this href, what are you going to provide is, you are going to provide the link of the website wherever you want to link it, right? So I'm going to copy this link, and where am I going to paste it? Inside href. And since this is a paid tag, as soon as I close it, you can see that a closing tag has also been created. Now comes the question that what do you write in between this? So whatever you write between this will show up on your website. Okay. So let's say if I want to show this entire thing something like this, I study in, okay, or I am currently learning uh, front end web development at, okay, and then whatever the name is of the link that you want to provide. So let's say I want to provide the link of Kuwait over here, right? And then full stop. Okay, let's go and see how does it look on our web page. I come over here and refresh. So you can see that it tries to put the entire content on the beside of this itself, because this is a non-blocking component. So if you want the next line to come in the next line, which tag can we use? We can use the BR tag. As soon as I use that, I come and refresh. Can you see it comes to the next line? If you want some more space, use some more BR tags. Okay, I used another BR tag to have some space between both of these. So can you see I'm currently learning front-end web development at Kuwait. So whatever you wrote between this anchor tag is something that will show up on your web page. But whenever you click on that, where will it take you? It will take you to the link that you specified. So when I click on this, can you see it redirected to this Kuwait website? How many of you, it is clear to how many of you? Give me a quick Y or N, please. If it is clear, tell me a Y. If no, then N, please. Yes. So how do we write links, or how do we create links on a web page? I am currently learning front-end web development at, whatever you want to write as the link name, you write between the anchor tag. But whatever link you want to take that web page, or that basically, whenever you click on that word, wherever you want, or whichever web page you want to open, that you're going to write inside the href attribute. Right. So over here, what I wrote is I wrote Kuwait.tech. That is why whenever you click on this, it takes you to that page. But if you want to take it to some other page, let's say I want to take it to, let's say I want to take it to this image, this entire big link, right? So I'm going to copy this entire big link, and let me create another anchor tag over here. Let me put a PR tag. Okay. And right below this, I'm going to create another anchor tag. So anchor href is equals to, I'm going to paste this huge big link over here. And what am I going to write as the name of the anchor tag? Something like some developer images. Let's say I want to write something like this. I go back, I refresh. So can you see some developer images? I click on that, it takes me to this entire link, which actually shows some images of developers. Clear to everyone? Yes or no? Totally clear now how you can use an anchor link. So now you know how to create headings, how to create paragraphs, how to add images, both local as well as online images, how to basically add multiple links to your web page. So these all things you know. So tell me one thing, in the upcoming classes, in whichever next class you will come, will you try to create some sample HTML structures, everyone? So anything, it can be anything. Try to, use a main heading first, then some subheadings and sub paragraphs and so on. And let me also give you some interesting thing which you shouldn't be using as a beginner, but with time there might be a need for, some real type of looking content. Right now, why do I say real type of looking content? Right now, let's say whenever I tell you to create paragraphs, a lot of students might end up doing this. Okay, end up doing this. Now tell me one thing, is this looking like a real content? No, right? This doesn't look like real content. So sometimes you just want some content which you can simply paste and it looks like a real content. In that case, you can use this Lorem Ipsum website. I'm going to share this link with you, and all you can do is you can just copy this thing and you can paste it over here. So what it does is you can use some ready-made content. It has no meaning, to be very honest, but it just looks like some readable and real English content, right? So later on, you can replace it with whatever real content that you have. But for the time being, whenever you're creating web page, it can be used to fill up space, right? That is why this website is helpful. So I will be sharing some interesting websites like this only with all of you. Just ensure that you're actually listing it down somewhere, or bookmarking it, so that it helps you in your development journey. Interesting? Clear till here, guys? Everyone? If clear, then now is the time to actually head on to something even more interesting. So once
Sir,
clear, I want a quick why from all of
I
you.
want to ask something.
Yes, Gulshan.
Sir, what if I want to click a link and it should open in a different tab?
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. You can use another attribute for this. So we'll come to that. So they, like, just like how all the students are asking, right? There will be a lot of possibilities like that. Okay, there are a couple of things that I'll be able to cover in the class, couple of things I won't be able to, right? Given the duration and everything that we have for the class. So ensure that the thing that you have over here, you're going through that and you're trying to, learn from that as well. Okay. What if we are using image link in anchor tag? It will not work. As simple as that, right, Bisu? So what will happen is all those questions that you're asking me, please try that out as well, and that is how you will learn whether those things are happening or not. So let's come to questions one by one. Now, one of the questions that Gulshan was having is, sir, how do we open this link in a new tab, right? So what does that mean? Over here, if I come and if I refresh, right, and if I click on, I'm currently learning the link that we have attached, I click on COVID, can you see? It loads in the same tab. How many of you noticed that? Let me show again. It loads in the same tab. But sometimes it happens that you don't want to, sort of lose your tab and you want to open it in a new tab. So what you can do is you can use another attribute that we have for anchor tag, and that is known as target. Okay. So inside the target, the value for this is blank, underscore blank. This is the value. So this is one of the predefined values. When you basically go ahead and give this value for the attribute target inside anchor tag, what it will do is it will not open the link in the same tab. It will open the link on a new tab. Got it? Let me show again. I click on this. It opens the link on a new tab and you have your original page already open. Interesting, everyone? And now coming to the question, what if we use image link in anchor tag? Try those things out. Those are very simple things. So I would want all of you to try out. But let's say, okay, developer images. Okay, so let's say we have this image. I go ahead, I copy this image and I try to use it inside an anchor tag. Let's see what happens. So let's say I replace the Kuwait link with that itself. Okay. How is this? What did I copy? Right click, copy image address. Huh. Okay, let's go and see what happens. If that is hosted in one of the links, it might open also. Not sure. Let's see. So I come over here, I click on Kuwait. Oh, I refresh. No, I didn't refresh. Okay. Okay, it will try to download that image, right? Because it's sort of taking you to a new tab and then downloading. So it's sort of trying, but that doesn't apply for all the cases, right? Try out these things. These are some additional things, but just know for a fact that always try to use image links with img tag. Always try to use links with anchor tag, right? All your what do you say, interest about what would happen if I use this with that and that with this. Try those things out as well, right? Possibly you'll learn something new. Possibly you'll understand that why those things are not a good practice, right? So those things you should be trying yourself so that we can focus on the major areas and try to complete it within the time frame that we have provided with. Till here, is everyone clear? Anchor tag, image, and all these things. All those students who totally feel confident till here, give me a quick why, please. Okay, cool. That sounds good. So now that this link is done, let's now learn something which is even more interesting than this, right? So for that, what I want you to do is let's create a new file itself. You can call that as table.html. Okay, so table.html. Let's leave this basics like that, and let's start with a new HTML file. So you can use one of the emit shortcuts, which is, one second. Okay, I've not installed any other extension. Okay, so you should have an emit shortcut already. That is, if you go ahead and write HTML colon 5, okay, and press enter, it will give you a brief let's say HTML boilerplate already, right? So this is just an additional thing that I wanted to speak about. The emit shortcut for that is HTML colon 5, but please don't use this any sooner than your once you have started with your CSS or JavaScript, right? Because that would be the right time to use it. Right now, I want all of you to get used to writing the HTML content as fast as possible. So how do we create it? The main HTML boilerplate, HTML, then you write head tag. Inside head, you write the title of the web page. So we are going to learn about tables in HTML over here, right? And then you basically have a body tag, and inside body tag, what do you do is you are going to write the content, right? So let's start with H1 and H2 and so on, whatever you want to write. So H1, let me just write a heading, and let me write tables in HTML again, okay? Which is nothing but the heading of my page. So how do I open this page? So in your folder, you will see now a new page. You're just going to double click on that. Let me open this page where I'm going to open it in my uh, the same web page that I had, right? So let me open in this tab itself, and this is how it looks. So what we are going to learn about is we are going to learn about tables, right? So when you hear the word tables, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Yes, there exists other extensions as well, Shushmita, so you can use that as well. Okay, coming to the question, what are tables? What's the first thing that comes to your mind as soon as you hear about tables? Rows, columns, that's correct. Okay, why do you want tables? We can write content directly also, right? Why are tables required? Why do you think tables are required? Good, we have structured data, organized data. Okay, so a very simple idea let me give you so that all of you will understand the importance of tables. So all of us have used timetables, agree? Starting from your school times itself, you have used any sort of timetable. Now imagine the timetable without a table. How would it look like? It doesn't even have a word time. Actually the word itself is timetable, but imagine the entire timetable listed without a table. That means it was listed in a form of statements. How would it that be, right? Like something like today you have okay, amazing. So that is, you would totally get, let's say, confused, right? It would not at all be easy to process. Tables provide you with a structure. As soon as you see, you basically are able to process that how that entire thing looks. No. Okay. How this entire thing looks, as well as you're able to consume that data much more faster, right? That is why tables are preferred. So as I told you, all those things that you see in a day-to-day life in any type of Word documents and so on, the same thing you should be able to is the student, one of the students, I'm not sure about, he has not signed it. Please ensure guys you have signed in with your respective emails and Okay, he is. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. Please ensure that you have signed in as well as then trying to log in so that you don't end up with such type of problems. Okay. ठीक है. Speaking about where was I? Tables, right? So tables are much more structured data, where structured format where you're able to consume the data much more faster, and that is why even HTML uses it, right? So let's quickly head on to tables. Here's where the tables look like, right? So as you can see that over here, these are the company, these are their contact, these are the country that it has, right? So this is one of the examples of how a table looks like. So we are going to see that how do we create tables in HTML. So creating tables in HTML, there are a couple of table tags that all of you should be knowing about. And firstly, let's start listing them. I want all of you to please note down these somewhere so that it helps you to create tables much more faster. So the tags that we need is entire thing, that is the entire table, just like how the entire HTML is wrapped inside the HTML tag. Similarly, the entire table is wrapped inside which tag? Table. Table is the parent tag. Okay, parent tag. Now inside table, for each and every row, what do you have? You have write something like this. So parent tag is nothing but table. Then inside for each and every row, you have nothing but tr. So what are rows, guys? A quick way to remember what rows are: anything that goes horizontally, right? So let's say right now this will not be an editor. So HTML is in row 1, head is in row 2, title is in row 3, and so on, right? So whatever goes horizontally is known as rows. What are columns? Everything that comes vertically is known as columns, right? For each and every column, you don't have any tag for column, but for each and every column data, you have a tag, and that is known as td. So it is not basically referred to as column data, it is referred to as table data. But if you remember it as a column data, then it will be much more easier to understand. Just like column data, you can also have a column heading. Now what is column heading? On the first row, basically you write the heading for each and every column, right? So you can refer that as column heading, and we call that as th, right? That is referred to as th. And now finally coming to, okay, let's just keep this much for now. So these are the main 4 tags that you need in order to create a table. Firstly, starting with table tag, then table row tag for creating rows, then table headings. For table headings, you have a th, or you can also call as column heading tags, right? And for each and every column data, you have a td tag, right? If column is confusing you, you can basically write the name of it, which is table heading and table data. Just write it that way. It's better to remember, but uh, better to answer in interviews. But just for remembering purpose, just know that it is for column. Why am I emphasizing on that? You will understand in the next couple of minutes. So right below this heading, let's start creating a table. Firstly, has everyone noted down this? Yes or no? Give me a quick Y or N, please. And guys, these are your first classes, so I'm asking these things again and again. You have noted down or not, but noting down and all these things you should be doing yourself, right? I'll not be asking that. I'll be checking on to what are the things that you have understood or not. Got it? Chalo, fair enough. So over here, let's start creating a table. For table creation, you need firstly a table tag. Inside table tag, you need a table row tag, right? Uh, so firstly, table tag, this is how we have created. I think nobody should have any doubts. It's nothing but all of these are paid tags itself, right? So this is how a table tag has been created. That means HTML will now know that, okay, whatever comes between this is nothing but a table. Okay. Now I want to create the very first row. So I will use the tr tag, right? That means I want to create the very first row inside this entire table. So let's say it doesn't have any heading. Okay. Or let's start with heading only. That will be better. So what we can do is we can have heading for name, place. Okay. I'll be picking up 2 3 students from the class, and all I want you to tell is which place you basically hail from. Okay, so let's create a very simple table that will only have 2 columns. So inside the very first row, I'm going to create 2 headings. So how can I create 2 headings? This is first heading, and similarly I'll create another heading, right? Table heading. So just read it this way. This is the entire table. Inside the entire table, we have created the very first row, and the very first row has 2 headings. Okay, 2 headings. So the very first heading that we have is name, and the second thing is from which place do they belong. Okay, so I've saved this. let's go and see how does our table look like. So I'm going to launch this. Let me refresh. Okay, so you see that name and place is written one beside another. You might not even think that is this even a table, right? That is something that might be coming to your mind. So just in order to make it look like a table so that all of you are able to understand it better, I'm going to write a piece of code, but just know for a fact that this code is nothing but CSS. So all of you, no need of banging your heads over here. This is just for styling purpose. So as I told you, CSS can be used for styling purpose. So I'm adding some sort of code over here so that you're able to better understand it. Just give me a minute. So padding 10 pixels. Border. Don't worry about this. This is something I'm not going to explain you right now because this is not in your current syllabus. This comes in CSS. Okay. Border. We'll take the same example during CSS so that you can understand this. Okay. So I've added some good styles. Okay, now does it look like table? Firstly, it would not look like table. That is why I've added some style. Please, I'll just add a comment over here so that all of you don't focus on this. This is CSS. Just added a comment over here. So please ignore this part. Okay. I'll also write ignore for the students who are not in this class and directly go through the code. By the way, for sharing the code, I would need to have GitHub. How many of you have access to GitHub or have one of the GitHub accounts? How many of you have GitHub accounts already? Okay, you have. Okay. Fair enough. There are a couple of students who don't have. All right. I'll be talking to your batch manager, trying to understand what would be a good way of providing all of you with the links. Actually, GitHub is the right place to provide the links with. Okay. And that is the place where we basically provide the students with the code. But since a lot of you are not aware of it, in the starting classes, I might directly provide you with a file, okay, which you can use in order for revision purpose. But with time, we will slowly and steadily head on to GitHub. There was one student who had a doubt. Who was that? I missed your name. There was one student with doubt. Okay, no worries. So over here, what I was telling about is just ignore this part. Now coming back to this, I created a table, I created a row, and it has two headings, name and place. Anyone having any doubts still here? If clear, give me a quick Y. If any doubts, then N followed by doubts, please. And no need of noting it down right now. Please focus in the class. Let me first complete it, and then I'll give you some time to note it down. Okay? Okay, fair enough. Now let me create another row. That means the first row has been created, right? Now I need another row right below this. So how do we create that? After the first TR has been completed, I create another TR, and you can create as many number of TRs that you want because that stands for row. But now I won't use TH. Why? Because TH is table heading. Now I need table data, and that is why I was calling it column data and column heading. Now do you understand? Because it is a sort of column heading and column data, right? That is why I was saying it. It is up to you however you want to remember it. So I'm going to write TD, and inside TD, let me start with the very first student. Let's go with Ashish. Ashish, where are you from? I'm just going to write couple of students' name, and you need to quickly write in your place Ashish, the next student Ashutosh, and let's say Sharan. Quickly write your places quickly inside the chat box, please. Be quick. Okay, so Ashish is from Kanpur. So the second TD that I'm going to write for place is Kanpur, right? So the first TD will go below this TH, which is name. The second TD will go below this TH, which is place. Clear to everyone? Let's go and see how does it look. So I come over here, I refresh, Ashish, Kanpur. Clear or not clear? Give me a quick Y or N, please. Clear to everyone? Okay. So let me add another row then. How do I add another row? Please try to focus everyone. Guys, why am I adding two TDs? Because there are two TH. If there would be three TH, I would add three TDs. Clear to everyone? This is how we basically continue with things. Cool? So now coming to this TR. What are we going to do is TD. And inside this TD, I'm going to provide the next name. So what is the next name that we have? The next name is I think Ashutosh. All right, and Ashutosh is from Varanasi. So I'm going to write that as the next TT over here. Got it? So this is how I've created the next row. Let's go and see how does it look. So Ashutosh, Varanasi, right? Similarly, I'll be adding the last TR. So the last TR is for Sharan, and he's from Harda, right? So this is how I have provided the all the three records. So let's go and see how does it look. So this is how we have created one table using these four texts. How many of you have got it? Please type in a Y. How many of you haven't got it? Please type in N. I'll keep my screen shared in the same time as well. Please ignore this, guys. While asking if you have understood, I'm not asking about the CSS. This is not in your syllabus currently. I've just added it because if I don't add this, let me remove and show you how it will look. It will look this way. It won't look good, right? That is why I've added some sort of beautification, because while learning tables, a sort of beautification makes it look easy to consume. That is why I've done that. Clear to how many students? Y or N, please, inside the chat box. Am I audible, guys? Okay. I did not scroll down. Yes, we can add border also, but that is using CSS. Okay. Clear? This is totally clear? Okay. I'll give you some time to note it down. Or anyways, I'll be sharing this file with you, so don't worry about it. This file will be shared. All these three files will be shared with you. Just one more thing which I missed in basics, which I wanted to quickly, highlight upon, and that is your other type of paid tags, which is lists, right? So I wanted to quickly emphasize on two types of lists that we have: unordered and ordered list. So unordered and ordered, let's see what are the type of examples that we have. So in unordered list, we basically write it using UL, and ordered list, we write it using OL. So firstly, what are list, guys? Whenever I tell list, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? List. Basically create a list. So what is the thing that comes to your mind? Quickly. Bullet points, good. Shushmita. Sequence, okay. So the most simple example I'll give you, whenever, let's say, all of you have gone out for groceries, right? So you have created a grocery list and basically went ahead and sort of, yeah, arranged data, and yeah, all of these examples basically apply. So if you have a collection of items, and how do you present it, right? So it might happen that you have to basically provide the list of hobbies. So let's take that example, because over here in your basics, let me open your basics file. So what you're doing is you're writing your introduction, right? So let's say I want to list down all the headings over here. So what I'll do is I'm going to use the very first type of list that we have, which is unordered list, right? So I'm going to write my hobbies are, okay. And in the next line, I'm going to write a UL tag, followed by, for each and every list item inside your list, how are you going to uh, denote that? You're going to denote it in both ordered and unordered list using LI, right? LI specifies each and every list item. So let's say I will write my hobbies. So one of my most favorite hobbies is swimming, right? So I'm going to write over here, as you can see, my hobbies are, the very first point that came as swimming, right? Because the very first list item. As well as, let me just add some more BR tags over here so that there's a good space. Refresh. Okay, there's some good space. So my hobbies are, first hobby is swimming. After that, let's say I have a couple of more hobbies. So swimming, reading, okay. Then I have cycling, right? So these are the three things that I've written, and can you see these hobbies are listed in this format. So why do we call it unordered? Because as you can see that there is no order in this list. Can you see, is there any order? No, it is basically nothing but points highlighted in a bullet point format, right? These are the 3 points that we have. But let's say if you wanted to discuss or basically specify this same example in a much more concise format, right? That is these three BR tags that I've added, right? Let me add it below as well after this. Okay, so my hobbies are, but rather than UL, I'm going to use OL, and OL stands for this ordered list. So what is ordered list? Ordered list means 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you can see that this is an example of unordered list. This is an example of ordered list. So there might be instances where you just want to use bullet points. In that cases, what you can use an unordered list. But there might be instances where you want to specify 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, right, in a numbered format. So we call such things as ordered list. So this was a list concept that was basically left out, so I've specified that as well. Is it clear to everyone? Very small topic, so I've just covered it quickly. Clear to everyone? List as well. So quickly speaking about what is left, don't worry about this entire data, right? The table, the basics.html, right? So in table, there is one more quick concept that I wanted to speak about, which is row span and call span, but we are already running off time in today's class. So row span, call span in table, as well as forms. So these two topics are left out. So the next class that you have technically as per the format is on Thursday, but possibly there might be a class in between. I'm just letting all of you know well in hand itself. So if there is any class in between, that will be informed to you well in advance, don't worry. And in that class, what we'll do is we'll try to cover this forms as well as uh, your table additional concept, right? So row span and call span is a bit of advanced topic, but still I feel that all of you after today's class, you should be in a state of consuming more data. I don't want to add in more data in today's class itself, right? 2 hours, in 2 hours, I think all of you got used to the most used tags in this entire HTML course. So ensure that you're working on this tag, you're trying to create different structures. And a small type of assignment from my end would be that all of you need to create an introduction web page for yourself. Will you be able to create it, guys? And you try to use all the tags that you learned in today's class and try to put all the information that you can. So right now, as you can see, that this is a very small type of introduction page that I've created, and very unordered type of, right? So you're going to add some more images of yourself. You're going to add some more pointers that, okay, these are my interests. These are the technologies that I want to learn, right? In that cases, you can use list. Okay, here are some links that I've already studied from, and you can provide some course links. Here are some certificate links. Here are some, uh, here is a link to my college and so on, so to the project that I have built. Okay, this is some more introduction about myself, some more paragraphs. So try to make it like a proper HTML page, introduction page. Will you be able to do that, guys? Only using HTML. Can you accept that challenge? Yes or no? So can I see how many students are there currently in the class? 26 students. I want to see a Y coming if you are confident that you will be able to do this. Yes? Yes? Okay. Cool. I like that energy. So ensure that you're creating this, because if you create this, we will try to use and use the same project and add CSS styles to it later on, right? So we will try to use the same project hereafter. These two files, please save it somewhere. So when you're progressing with the same files in the as and when you're learning new technologies, right, that will give you a good idea that how it was firstly looking, the very first version only with HTML, then how we beautified it using CSS, how we added some more functionalities like JavaScript and so on, right? So these are a couple of things that you can add. Can we add background? Yes, you can add background color. You can increase the font size, decrease the font size, and all these type of beautifications you can do with CSS. Okay, so just before CSS, we have one small topic left, which is forms in HTML. And after forms, you can say that your HTML is complete. Got it, everyone? Clear to everyone? Yes or no? Cool. Sounds good to me. All right then. Let's keep that much itself. I know a lot of you might be saying that, sir, that's enough for the day, right? I totally understand. How was it? Was it too much information for the day, guys, or was it just right? JR or too much information? Amazing. Okay, that's nice, Himanshu. Okay, the resources which are supposed to be referred, resources remain the same. HTML, I will be sharing it right now, but I expect all of you to just, sort of bookmark these pages. W3 schools, MDN web docs, right? These are go-to material. Even I am no god, right? I also refer to these things itself at the end of the day, or I refer to these things at a time, right? So these, just know for a fact, it was interesting to us was like 20 minutes. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you so much. That's a really good compliment, I would say. Okay, what I was saying was these links are always, whenever you're learning your coding journey, always know for a fact that your documentation links are the ones which should be your go-to place. You cannot know everything, right? And nor do any interviewers expect you to know everything, right? Right now, the tags might seem very easy, and you should be knowing everything, whatever we taught in today's class, right? But as soon as you start learning CSS, you will know that there's so many, it's an ocean, right? There's so many properties out there, and nobody expects you to know everything, but you should at least have an idea about what is what and when to look where, right? So let's say, what do I mean by this? Whenever I say, hey, I want you to add this style, you should know how to do that. And let's say if it is some more properties, then possibly you will have to look out, right? So this is how things work. All the developers out there in the market also use these resources. These resources are there for a purpose, right? So I don't know if this is your very first coding thing that you're learning, or you already have learned some programming languages before this. But all those who have learned some programming languages before this might agree to this, that you cannot, sort of remember everything, and you shouldn't even do that. You sort of shouldn't push yourself as a beginner to, hey, I should know this, I should know that, I should know. If you're able to do that, well and good, right? But I'm just saying as a generic perspective that what happens, right? And what is something that I guide my students always. So know what is what, and where to look if you want to know more about it, right? So these should be your two resources, and all the important topics whichever are there, I always try to give some small notes like this. These notes might look small, but these are great whenever you're revising, because it gives you a good understanding about all the things that we discussed on the top. So think about it yourself itself. Reading this or reading this, which would give you a much more better understanding, right? So whatever I'm telling in the class, please note it down. All those students who used to note it down previously in my class definitely saw great progress about it, and definitely saw the benefit of this while revising. uh, Let me also tell a couple of things. Usually I, as an instructor, like to get connected with my students properly, be a part of their journey, right? But that is not possible until and unless all of you are able to put in things from yourself as well, right? Speaking about my past experiences of the previous organization, I used to do this itself with my students, right? uh, there are a lot of students of mine who are currently placed, as well as, are in touch. And let me tell you a couple of advices from them as well, which will help you throughout this entire course. So one thing is, they definitely told that, sir, there was one thing that we definitely agree with you, that focusing on the right thing is very much important, and not everything, right? I'm repeating this again and again, because as and when you progress as beginners, even when I started, I was like, I should know this, I should know that, I should know everything, right? Everything is just a mystery over here, right? So it's an ocean. As and when you develop more and more projects, that's when you will get to know about it. So just know one thing, that focus on the right thing, focus on the major concepts, build your foundation. The more stronger your foundation is, the more better you will be able to explore more things on the top of it. Second things that they told was, sir, the more projects that we build, the more better it was, right? So projects is something which I'll try my best to create as many as possible. So you can see from the very first class also, which should technically just be a class, but I ensure that all of you start making something known as your introduction website, right? So even these small projects, you might think, what is this? This is such a basic website. But the more you actually invest time on this, the more new things that you learn, right? So with each and everything that you learn, try to build a web page only out of it. That should be your go-to thing right now. And the third thing that they told was noting down things, which I've repeated so many times till now, right? Making small notes throughout the entire journey, and not, sort of piling things towards the end. It should be some recurring revisions that you have in between. Never keep everything for the end, right? Even if you're making notes, but you're not referring it in the meantime. Sometimes what students do is, they start with CSS, they forget HTML. Now, how is that possible? Because HTML is the main core. If you forget that, how will things happen? So you shouldn't start CSS until unless your HTML is strong. You shouldn't start JavaScript until and unless your HTML plus CSS is strong. So keep these small things in mind. I will be sharing all the experiences, everything, even mine with all of you, right? I just hope that doesn't go boring as well as motivating for all of you. Even if it gets boring, feel free to tell me, right? That is what I'm over here for motivating all of you as well as ensuring that all of you do good in your entire course journey. So yep, that was it for today's class, guys. Let's catch up in the next class and take it up from here. Yep, the last thing that was left was quickly how much were you able to take in from today's class? Quickly, numbers please, inside the chat box. From a scale from 1 to 10, how much were you able to take in from today's class? Will we make website as a macro project? Yes, we will do that. We will be doing that. Projects are a part of your syllabus. As far as my understanding is there over here. So we will be making a couple of projects over here. Okay, those numbers are really good. Thank you so much for those numbers, guys. I believe that a lot of you were able to take good content from today's class. That was it for today's class. Let's meet in the next class and take it over from here. Thank you so much and have the rest of the night great. Good night, guys. Bye.